Welcome to a community built of tomorrow's business leaders. Hey guys, I'm William Freitas, and this is the Socius Podcast. Socius, welcome back to another episode. Today we've got Bonnie-Jean Naim. Bon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm excited to talk to you about branding, your business, motherhood. We're going to dive into a fair few different topics. Now, Bonnie's from Beon Media. So, Bonnie, can you tell me a little bit about you and the business and, what has you be here today?
Cool. So Beon Media is a full-service digital marketing agency. We initially started off social media management. Bit of a point of difference in the way that we delivered the content through that service, and through that we naturally grew into other areas. So delivering a lot of digital now. So SEO, Google Ads, web dev, basically full service. So yeah.
Awesome.
That's a business.
Now, a lot of the listeners are going to be business owners and or people who are aspiring to start their own business.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit more about clients that would work with a full service digital agency. What are they looking to do? Who are the clients you work with?
Well, I guess that all depends on the service, doesn't it, right? But ultimately, when it comes to a business engaging a marketing agency, they are looking to find ways to reach a larger audience and obviously grow their company. But a big part of my job is educating them on what that actually needs to look like and the realistic aspect of that. So marketing a business can be done in many different ways, but ultimately it comes down to how much can that business spend on their marketing, right? So, like yourself, you've obviously got a marketing specialist in-house now to help you achieve many different marketing modalities and obviously manage it from a head office perspective. A small business might engage a business like mine to help them understand what is the best way to achieve that and be able to afford it. You can market your business in many different ways. It's just, how are you going to do that, And that's ultimately how I ended up bringing on so many different services to help clients understand organic marketing versus paid media buying and how they can be put on the map in the best way possible and in the most affordable way possible.
Perfect. I think there's so many different topics that we can dive into because what we love is business growth.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on social media. You've got to be undertaking some digital marketing to grow your business, particularly in today's age.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that, but I want to learn a little bit more about Bonnie or Bon. I've been told off there to call her Bon. Tell us about you. What was your background? What had you get into digital marketing? Tell us more about you.
Okay. So I have a background in sales. So there's that life business skill. But that was obviously, I was kind of born with a sales bug, to be honest with you. I come from a family of wildly entrepreneurial people, not all successful, but they still have the bug for getting out there and making it happen. So I think at my core, I've always been quite entrepreneurial. But my background essentially has been, it's been very colourful. So I've had insurance exposure. I worked for an insurance company for 5 years. I've worked in personal insurances and travel insurances. Then I hated every minute of that, no offense. It just was not for me. It's not for everyone. That's why I've got you guys. I now understand the power of delegating to people that love what they do. Then I worked in private equity, so I did a bit of a stint there. So head of sales positions essentially, but any job that I was in, I worked for an advertising agency too. But anyway, this is my employed career, right? Yeah. And I've done a degree in marketing and law. So anyway, yeah, just in a nutshell, there's a lot of stuff happening there. And I think at the core of that is someone trying to figure out what they love doing. So when I worked at a private equity firm, I had a boss who was super duper entrepreneurial, and he worked for one of the large private equity firms in Sydney, basically stock recommendation floors, call center environment, and he was a top performer. But before that, he owned lots of different companies. So he kind of folded those companies, then went and worked for someone else. He did really well in that environment. Then he started his own business, and that's when I came in to help him run his sales floor and establish that aspect of his business. So with all of that having happened, I learned a lot about him and his journey. And I would just remember thinking to myself, this guy is actually enabling how much of an entrepreneur at my core I am, because anything I'd ask for, he'd be like, yep, how do I help you get that? If you want to learn this skill, yep, let's get you thrown into that. Let's help you do this. Let's help you do that. And at one point, I kind of just woke up to myself and went, wait, why am I working for these people? I'm making them so much money. I'm helping them build out their sales teams. I'm obviously like rising to the top internally really quickly. So how can I take all of these amazing operational and sales skills and plug them into other businesses? And knowing that obviously I had a bit of a background in legal just with my degree, not so much in practice because I hated every minute of it. No offense, just again, legal insurance, not my vibe. I'm marketing girly through and through. But I had an advertising marketing background with that as well. So I had that mindset of creativity, thinking outside the box, understanding different marketing modalities, and sales, right? So I knew that was something at my core that I really loved doing. So when I left that company, I literally called my boss one morning and I said, Alex, I think you're an absolute legend, and thank you so much for enabling every minute of my craziness. Like, I love that, and I'm glad I've made you money. I'm glad that I've, helped you, but this is like, I'm not even going to come into work today, man. Like, I'm so sorry, but here's a few other people that want the job. Interview them, go for it. And then, off I went and did my thing, and just decided to start a consulting business because I thought, what better way to learn about running a business from the inside out than actually consulting to them with things that I can help them improve. Sales, operations, helping them implement things in their small businesses that were lacking, that I could help them, I don't want to say corporatize, but just making small businesses run better, right? So that's what I did. I left my job. The next day I went into a company and I closed them on a consulting container, if you want to call it that. And then I just took on a few businesses. But through that, what I learned about were the huge knowledge gaps in small business around marketing and what that actually looks like. So put my little thinking cap on. I had a baby. So when I had my daughter Bella, I'd been consulting for a little while with that. But then when I had my daughter Bella, I had time off and I was going crazy, like existential crisis. Like, this is not postnatal depression. This is a high performer not performing. Like, this is not a safe zone. I was driving my husband crazy. I was driving myself crazy. I was speaking to all my friends, like, what am I going to do? Who am I? La, da, da. And I'm like, all right, let's look at all the skills that I have, all the things that I love. I love social media. I love content creation. But how can I make how can I make those things really great? So then I started a business, obviously, Beon Media. Actually, technically, it was the same business. I was just trading as a different business name. And I was selling only one service, and that was social media management. And I thought, you know what? I could do this working from home. No, you can't. But anyway, I thought to myself that maybe I can do this, keep myself busy. And then I was like, oh my goodness, there is so much more to be said for all these businesses not marketing correctly. So let's start with this and grow the company from there. And from there, obviously, I established multiple skills around digital marketing. And anyone that knows me, anyone watching this that knows me, knows that I'm a lunatic when I focus on something. I will zero and double down on that until I'm an expert at that. And maybe that's a control thing. It's probably a control thing.
But let's take it back if we can, because we're going to come back to this and dive it in.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned you had a family of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Right. So are you saying mum and dad were entrepreneurs or what was it?
My mum's a school teacher. My parents are very humble Aussie battlers. My mum's a school teacher, primary school teacher. And my dad worked in construction, did a lot of random jobs in construction, roof plumbing, you name it. He's probably done it, right? But on my mum's side of the family, she's got, 3 out of the 6 are all entrepreneurial. They all have their own businesses. And I just remember watching them as a kid and thinking, that's really cool, Little did I know how stressed they were managing their books and their team and making sure they made profit every month and had marketing going and sales and all the things, right? But I just used to think, well, that's really cool because my auntie can leave work any time of day and go pick her kids up from school and then finish working at home. I just used to look at her routines.
So it was a flexibility that kind of attracted you to some degree.
To a certain degree, but there's no flexibility now that I really know there's none, especially when you want to grow it properly. But I'm also attracted to scale and growing a business as well. So, it's got both sides of it. I don't know, really. It's just, that's the background is my uncle was quite successful. And I've just seen how they've lived their lives. and how they've retired early and all those sorts of things. And you just, as a child, you piece these little things together and you go, well, how did they do that, you know?
And when did it hit you when you thought, okay, we're going to start Beon Media or the consulting business and we're going to start with social media? When did it hit you that actually it's a little bit more challenging than the glitzy view of what entrepreneurship is?
Gosh, I don't know. I think I don't know that it's ever really hit me. I think I'm just doing it.
Good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of just keep going. I don't know that there's really like a bit of coined moment where I've just gone, wow, this is like really hard. No, it's just been, okay, today's a hard day. Let's just get it done, you know, and make it the best we possibly can. Like you wake up feeling sick. Oh, well, get it done. Just keep going. My work ethic's always been there, to be honest. I've very rarely had a day off work, even in my employed life. Even if I was working from home, I'd still be doing deals on the phone. Like, I don't know that I've ever really had, had a day off work.
Okay, interesting.
Really.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think every entrepreneur can relate. You can go on a holiday and you're always thinking about the business naturally.
Oh, yeah.
So the glitz and the glam of entrepreneurship, I think, is evolving and changing. It's becoming much clearer that, it's not just all, sunshine and rainbow when it comes to entrepreneurship. It is some hard graft, which naturally you would have been around to some degree with your family. So take me through, obviously, the consulting, which was effectively the same brand in Beon Media. When did you say Bella? How long in business journey were you in when Bella came across?
I think I was like nearly 2 years.
Okay.
Wow, I'd actually have to look at that. Probably should have read your questions before I got here, eh? But no, I think it was about 2 years.
So 2 years into business, and that's when you then explore the new challenge of motherhood. Tell me about that.
Oh my goodness. What a bloody roller coaster having kids is. No one tells you about that. Like it's the dream, for someone that wants to have kids, to have that moment where you hold your baby for the first time and it's magical, and then you get them home and you go, oh shit, I've got to keep this little person alive. Oh my God, how do I do that? How do I breastfeed? How do I have a coffee? How do I get to the coffee machine? There's so many questions that run through your mind. You're literally learning yourself all over again. You reinvent yourself. You learn about this little person that's got their own personality. It's letting go of control a little bit, isn't it, parenting? It's you go from running your own business and having full control over your time and your hours to none at all, and then figuring out how to navigate that and then love yourself through that. It's very difficult.
So how did you manage the business during that period?
I did take time off a little bit after Bella. I had that break, which allowed me to have the aha moment. Like, I really want to do marketing, That's where I want to spend my time, my energy. That's where I deliver so much value. I can get my little sales buzz through selling my own services, and that's where I've redirected most of my focus is, obviously, that's why I'm here today. But, I think having that time off gave me that space to really think about what was more important and what would light me up. Don't just do a job for the sake of doing it. Do it because you really love it.
It's so important to find what it is that you love doing.
Yes.
And in your instance, you can still apply the sales and operation experience that you have into marketing, into your clients' businesses, which is super important.
Yeah.
And if you don't love what you do, the entrepreneurship graft becomes really hard.
You can't do the 12 o'clock finishes. You'll go to sleep at 8 p.m. and just lose your business because you can't get through those hard days that require more energy. If you don't love it, then what's going to drive you,
Exactly. And so how long did you take off with Bella?
I think all up it was just a bit over a year.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was still kind of working, when I say time off, I just was not going into my clients' businesses. I helped a few clients with finding like recruiting, just giving some advice around team and talent. I had little jobs like that, just enough to kind of spark the engine, get it going again. But she was just a little bit over a year when I registered my business.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, okay, let's do it, But then it was still another 3 or 4 months after that before I got like my first solid paycheck,
Got it.
It wasn't like I just switched it on and started making money. Obviously, I had to go to market and do something with that. So, yeah.
And, naturally, a lot of listeners might be keen on logistically knowing how it is that you manage that. Did you put her into care? Did you do it at the same time?
I was very blessed because We did have care. We didn't have daycare though. Where we lived, we had access to a really lovely community centre of mums that basically, there was 5 mums and they would look after Bella for maybe 3 to 5 hours. And I only did that 2 days a week when I needed to physically go and meet with my clients. And in terms of managing my time, I was just a bit of a Nazi with Bella's naps. I was like, all right, we're getting the deep work done between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. and then again between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., because any time around when she was awake was very challenging at that point, because when they're over 1, they're moving around, they're getting into all the drawers. It's like very frustrating age. My son's going through it right now. But yeah, we got care. We got support through that community centre. And only recently, because I've become quite busy with work, have I really put my daughter Bella in preschool. So she's now in preschool, skip, hop and a jump later, she's now in preschool, being cute and loves every minute of it. But we have support. We have a nanny that comes in and watches my son a couple of days a week.
Nice. And then so you mentioned you had your daughter Bella, you registered the business, and then how long after did you decide to go for number 2?
We got married. My husband and I got married, so we had Bella before. We had her before we got married. Okay. So the whole COVID baby situation, totally intentional. We wanted to have a child. We just didn't know. We didn't want to wait, We didn't want to wait another year, and then I was getting older, and then I'd have to do the pregnancy later in life, and then I'd have to do the school drop-offs when I'm like 75. I didn't want to wait, So we started the family first, got engaged, obviously, had the baby, and then I think... Actually, thinking back now, that is insane to think about because I've never reflected. I said to Yash on the way here, I've not really thought much about the last 4 years of my life. I'm just going for it, Like I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm just like, wow. So we had Bella, got married. In this time, I'm growing my business. Accounts are coming on. I'm getting busy. We get married. While we're doing this, we're building a house. We move into the house, furnish the house, do all those things, and then literally 3 days after, so the business started in March, I was pregnant again in December, so it's a lot. It's a big year, right? Then I got to do the next, I'm not even like a full cycle in my business, like not even full 12 months, and I'm going, shit, how am I going to do this? Like how the hell am I going to run my business, go to photo shoots, add value, make change, make impact, and be pregnant? So I'm like at photo shoots waddling around. Like any one of my clients that are pretty much still with me now will laugh because like I've been known to literally go to photo shoots like and stand in the back with like conjunctivitis because I'm like, I can't miss this, anyway, it's just there was a whole 12 months of my life that was a total blur. But honestly, I'm really glad it happened that way. We tried for my son again and we were very blessed to fall pregnant quite quickly with him. But I'm not going to lie, it was a lot. Yeah. So registered the business. Bella's 1. Started the business. Got married in October. Then pregnant in December. So honestly, it's a wonder I'm even here today. Like
it's been a blur, but naturally, it's led you to where you are today. Totally. I always view that everything happens for a reason.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And no doubt, when you have moments like this to reflect, that's when you can really sit in your chair and go, actually, wow.
Yeah.
That was a really cool 4 years, and you can look at your partner and say, wow, we really accomplished something fantastic.
Yeah.
And no doubt, with your kids when they're looking at you and they give you so much joy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you. You mentioned the dream of having kids.
Yeah.
It is the dream of many, and some are blessed to have children, thankfully, which is really nice. And some also dream about having businesses.
I know.
So how do you balance the two? Because they are, in some instances, 2 different babies.
Oh, they're just,
And both need time. Mm-hmm. How do you manage your time?
I'm not the best at it, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm Mother Teresa. I love my children and they are the reason I work as hard as I do now. Your purpose and your why shifts when you have kids, but it's hard. It's very, 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 very hard. But I've always been very career driven and I'm blessed to have my mum's around a bit to support us. I've put processes and systems in place to make sure my children have amazing things around them to help them thrive. And if my business robbed them of that, I wouldn't put my energy into my business the way that I do. So with that in mind, you know, I finish work most days at 2:30, 3 o'clock. I don't finish. I leave my office at that time and I go get my daughter from school and we spend a bit of time together. I invest that time with her, you know, that's her time with me, one-on-one, because often my son is sleeping. And this is just the routine right now. It's going to change tomorrow, let's be honest. As you know, obviously, it changes every day. But, you know, I just make sure that whenever I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. And it's not like that every day. My husband's very active, he's very hands-on, and he loves being with the kids as well. So between the two of us, it takes so much energy, but we both obviously are very involved and we love it. So I'm lucky. I have a very good ecosystem to let my children thrive. So.
It's interesting, right? Because, so as you know, as you mentioned off air, I'm dealing with this as well at the same time. We've got a young daughter, and what I struggle with is being 100% present for her and for our kids. I think it's so important. I don't want her to view me as the dad that was looking at the screen half the time and not giving her the attention.
It's a scary thought.
So it's tough when you're running a business. It's tough when you're managing your time. And so I say that because I feel like there are a lot of business owners out there who really put a lot of emphasis on their identity as a business owner. And when children come along, that can shift quite substantially, and or there can be some real difficulty in letting go of where the business might go.
Yeah.
You might have a goal for where the business is heading, but naturally, if there's other competing interests, you've got to manage
all of them.
How you're going to get there and manage all of those interests. So, how have you dealt with that?
Oh my God, the $1 million question. I don't know. Look, my opinion on that is if someone's going to sit here and tell you they've got it figured out, they are lying. It is so hard. It is so hard. And I would love to say that I have answers, but this is why I say you really need to love what you do. And you need to really want to have a family. Don't just do it because it's a tick box exercise. So it's like, I don't know if there's $1 million answer. There's not, you know, it is. Yeah. It's just really, really hard. And you just have to love both. That's it. It's quite simple. It's not simple, but it's simple. Love both equally. That's it. And don't associate your identity to that thing, you know. And I think that's, you know, back to my point with when I had Bella, the identity crisis that drove me into a business again is obviously I'm career driven, but I didn't want to be defined by one thing. And that is probably why I'm able to indirectly, without realizing, kind of manage both. Again, having support systems, and like I said, my husband's super supportive and hands-on. But don't get me wrong, the guy's bloody busy too. Like, he's running a business as well. So between the two of us, honestly, like it's just all hands on deck. Yeah.
And so, how do you manage the moments where, you know, obviously you had your son and the business was already up and running.
Yeah.
How do you manage? Did you take some time off after your son? Because I feel like, you know, look, and I can speak of personal experience, you know, my wife at times, you know, in her career is like itching to get back.
Yeah.
And I fully am aware of the amount of female entrepreneurs, the female business leaders out there who deal with this very concern. How did you manage that?
Getting back to work
or just dealing with the element of
anxiety.
It could be anxiety.
Depression, anxiety,
everything.
Postnatal depression. Who bloody knows? Honestly, I think trauma makes you a bit of a warrior, you know? And I have had many traumatic incidents in my life. Lots of loss, lots of ugly situations, which probably help me navigate these really high stakes that drive your emotions, drive high emotions in your life. I think that's my superpower. And I'm really not afraid to say that, you know, like I think anyone that has had an element of trauma in their life can navigate a lot more because they have overcome really hard circumstances. That's my superpower.
Look, I think, you can call it what you like. It's you being authentic.
Totally.
And I think the listeners might be able to feel it or hear it, but we can definitely in the studio feel your energy and people gravitate towards that. So I appreciate your openness and appreciate what you bring to the table, because that's why your clients work with you, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully not because they think, oh, damage, she's damaged now.
No, it's about your authentic energy. It's about your personality and what you bring to the table.
Yeah, it's important to be real.
Because you love what you do, and then people can see that.
Yeah.
People can see that. And you want to work with people who love what they do.
Yeah, true.
Why? Because they're going to go the extra mile for you.
That's right.
They're always going to make sure that you're getting the best, and that's what you want in a team or a partner.
Agreed.
And so what would you say your number one success factor is?
Oh, my goodness. I'm very goal-oriented, but I just have I don't know what my number one, there's no metric, and this is the thing. I don't know if this happens a lot with people that sit in this chair, with other business owners, and maybe they can relate. You just kind of keep going, and if I probably, after this podcast, thanks guys, I'm literally going to leave and be like, all right, zoom out, reflect, like what the hell drives you, Bonnie-Jean, and that's probably something I need to really give a lot of thought. But thinking about it, like just from a not overthinking it perspective is, I just kind of keep going. I just keep going, and I just enjoy winning. That's it. I just enjoy winning. I like winning. I hate losing. I'm very bloody competitive. Yeah. In a respectful way. I don't do the dirty when I lose, okay? I like appreciating the losses because they teach you how to be better, but I'm very competitive. So that's probably it, really.
What do you think made you competitive? Do you have brothers, sisters, siblings? What made you competitive?
I think my family.
Okay.
I have, like I said, I've been brought up around a bunch of neurotic entrepreneurs who are all very competitive and high-level thinkers. So I think that had something to do with it. My mum's very competitive too, but she just has a lot of self-doubt. And I think indirectly that taught me to not have that. I think she's honestly one of the most beautiful, loving, nurturing people that I know, but often with that comes too much empathy and you often doubt yourself, right? So growing up, I was able to kind of acknowledge that and just look at it afar and think, you know what? I don't want to suffer like that. I want to be so empathetic that I doubt myself. So I don't have a lot of self-doubt. I just kind of am really sure of myself and back myself with results. And that's about it, really,
Yeah, look, most certainly I think confidence is one of those things that is a huge asset to anyone naturally, but confidence doesn't necessarily come easy for everyone.
No.
Competitiveness as well is something that I think can be nurtured. Yeah. But it's purely based on environment. And I think, look, I'm a very competitive person as well. I think it's synonymous with a lot of different entrepreneurs. So it's great to see that in you. I just laugh. Bonnie off air told me, said not to call her Bonnie-Jean because that's only when she's in trouble.
And I said it's because I made myself in trouble.
But almost it's like you, like, I don't know if you've read the book. The name now escapes me. But it talks about an alter ego, like, as in like talking about Bonnie-Jean versus Bon, like two different people. Anyway.
Yeah, they're two different personality types.
Yeah, different identities.
She's got a dissociative personality, guys.
I want to ask you, what do you think is one of the questions we ask a lot of business owners in this chair. What's a key issue in today's business world that you think needs changing?
Education around marketing. What can we just if someone says SEO, does anyone actually know what that means? If someone says Google ads, can we just help people have the patience to understand these marketing modalities, to help them understand the investment requirements, I've had many clients be like, okay, cool, well, let's start SEO. And I'm here going, no, mate, you need to be able to afford $3,000 to $5,000 a month for the next 5 years. Park it. Don't even think about it. That's the cost, maybe less, maybe more, but, just educating around the actual cost requirements and the long-term investment. You don't look at a brand like Toyota and think, oh, they're spending $3,000 a month on marketing. They're spending millions of dollars a month, and they're still one of the top performing. They own, I don't even know what the market share for Toyota is, but it's obviously a top performer, It's a household name, and it took them many, 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 many years and billions of dollars to achieve that. So helping businesses understand that marketing it's a necessary cost.
So what are your tips for new business owners out there who don't necessarily do a lot of marketing, or they want to improve their marketing? Because there's always the battle of organic versus inorganic. right? And I'll share a little bit of our approach. Our approach has been push organic initially.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely worked in today's day and age.
Definitely.
Like, I think there are a lot of agencies out there that push inorganic, and they have no metric for success around organic content. And so really you're shooting, and what that means for a lot of business owners who are listening, if you put something out organically and it doesn't perform, don't put money behind it. Because the way the algorithms work these days is it's not going to work. No one's interested in that piece of content.
Correct.
So what would you recommend to business owners who are listening, battling the organic versus inorganic, and they've got everything to think about? Google reviews, websites, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media accounts. Where do they focus their energy? Naturally, it's different per industry.
Such a big question, isn't it?
But what would you recommend?
I was just going to say that it is different each industry, each business. Obviously, budget's one thing, but if you're an e-commerce brand, it's a no-brainer. Like, you really want to be investing money in Meta and Google, depending on the product, depending on the ROAS targets and all that sort of stuff. So it's a big question, but if maybe give me a hypothetical. What kind of business are we talking about? What would be a client that you deal with predominantly a lot of the time that you feel like might struggle with something like this?
Great question. Nikki, any ideas? Let's go with someone in the construction space. And I say that because I think construction could do so much more on socials. And I don't want to lead it towards socials, but plumbing business, 2 staff, in business for 3 or 4 years. What do I do, Bonnie?
Google Ads. Social media, so organic content creation. Google Ads would be a great vehicle to test. And obviously, something like Google Ads, you can run campaigns for 3 to 6 months and test performance. But any business requirement when it comes to budget is put the money there, and it's like going to the casino, right? This is how you sometimes have to look at marketing. You might not make your money back straight away, but how are you going to know unless you practice the skill? So you need to put your money somewhere, invest it wisely, get the data. Data is money, right? Without negative feedback, you're not going to know how to perform. So plumbing business, Google Ads would be fantastic because it's a great way to get metrics to improve where your customers are, what they're doing, how they're searching. SEO would be fantastic, but it's a very big investment. So ultimately it depends on their cash flow situation. And obviously organic. So again, all these things take time and money, but if they're going to be doing it themselves, social media is a no-brainer. It costs them nothing, Hello, get on your phone, start getting some of your staff, your apprentices to follow you around. Just be like, this is what we're working on today. This is some funny stuff we discovered on site. Like, create content that makes people know and share your brand. So they're like, oh, these guys are funny. Who does a fantastic job at, well, you guys do a fantastic job, but another company that I'm aligned with not in partnership with, but they're my accountants, Latitude Financial, are freaking phenomenal because they have so much relatable, funny content, and it just makes you go, these guys are relatable. And they're humorous, but they really know their shit.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. It wasn't planted, but now that we've got the expert in the space, there are a lot of people who are B2B.
Yeah.
And they sort of say, look, well, business owners aren't going to be on Instagram.
Yeah, they are.
What do you say to that?
I mean, no, I'm sorry, but everyone knows a business owner. Even if a wife is interacting with this content and she's at home with the baby, she's going to be like, hey, you should talk to these guys. Hello, it's like word of mouth on steroids. But what people get really caught up in are vanity metrics on social media. Oh, how many likes did I get? How many views did I get? No, just stop, slow roll. Did you get comments? Did you get shares? People might not be liking, but they're watching what you're doing. They might not be interacting immediately, but brand awareness takes time, mate. Like, you have to do the damn work. So don't post on social media and say, oh, I'm going to get a lead tomorrow. No, you've got 2 years of work to do here, buddy, to start. For example, that's how I found you guys. You or maybe Marissa followed me on social media 5 years ago. Here I am today. It's 5 years of work of liking my content and interacting with each of my brands and commenting with clapping hands on my stuff. Here I am, and that's how long it took. Yeah. So people need to understand the journey, and that's probably back to your point. What's something that understand the journey? It's long. It's not going to happen immediately. But if you are a plumbing business, and you're watching this, get data, get insights, look at what you can afford to do, know your budget, control that budget, and then look at how you can invest it wisely. And if you get stuck, you know who to call.
I 100% agree to that. And I think what you said too is such a great point to emphasize.
Yeah.
people emphasize vanity metrics so much.
Oh, God.
Like whether you've got 10,000 followers, whether you've got 10,000 views. If you've got
silly.
500 views, but they're 500 people within your target market, that's better than 10,000 views and only 50 people in your target market.
If you had 500 people in a room listening to what you were saying, how powerful is that? If I had 100 people in the room looking at what I was saying, actually engaged and watching it past 20 seconds, that's powerful. I don't really care if I get 30,000 views on a video, but no one buys my services. What's the point of putting all that energy into a product or a video, a photo, anything, if no one's doing anything with that? Like, Absolutely. It's energy, it's my time, it's money, you know, like you got to do it and actually know that what you're saying is talking directly to your target market and they're likely to buy from you, you know. They might watch it all the way through and then wait till they watch another 18 videos before they decide to inquire. And that's generally the journey, you know. Yeah. I think, you know, back in 2017, it was like 17 to 22 times people need to be exposed to a brand before they even follow it. You know?
Absolutely.
So it's all about repetition, consistency, having high impact messaging and just doing it tastefully.
Yeah. And look, I'll be completely honest here. The amount of people that reach out to us and say, what's the return on investment on the podcast? We get this question all the time, and within their business, they think the same thing. What's the return on investment on this particular ad? Like you mentioned, obviously we run the insurance business, Confio, and that's how we met each other.
Yeah.
We've been doing brand awareness for a long, long time. You know, I did marketing myself, so I'm big on brand, I'm big on marketing, and brand awareness has been a huge part of our initial approach.
Yeah.
Only when you've got some brand awareness can you start actually targeting particular individuals and start building relationships. But it happens in time.
I know.
It's not something that happens automatically. And look, unfortunately, you can't necessarily measure return on investment on absolutely everything.
No.
Because there's so many different sources.
Return on investment for e-commerce campaigns. Sure. You put $500 in. What's the return on investment? Cool. That's because you're selling a one-stop. Like, you know, you want to sell a pair of socks. Okay. Run an ad for the socks. Sell the socks. People buy the socks. The return on your ad spend is what? You know, like you put $1 in, am I going to make $5 back? Then it's worth my time, right? But for service-based B2B, it is very challenging to measure that. You need to look at the end of your financial year, if you want to look at it that way, how much money did I spend on marketing and how many new clients did I get? So
I'm going to put you on the spot. Industry agnostic, doesn't really matter. What are your top 3 tips for marketing in 2025?
Oh my God. Be consistent. Understand your key messaging. And third, lucky last. Be authentic. Be real. People buy people, you know. People buy people. So just don't do cringy content.
Yeah, interesting. Because you can fall into that, right? You can fall into,
there's a fine line.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you know, I'm gonna challenge you on this, right? Like, is any attention good attention?
It depends on the campaign. Obviously, we've discussed guerrilla marketing. That can attract all different types of feedback.
Yeah.
It depends on your objective as a business. You know, are you trying to make noise? Are you trying to make impact? Are you trying to get known? Then be aggressive and expect any kind of feedback and be okay with that because it's exposure. But it depends on the season of business that you're in, you know. If you're Toyota and you start running around the streets in a onesie, like that's not good marketing, you know. At that point, it's a little bit silly.
I love that.
But a new, you're like, I'm going to start running down the street. Next marketing idea.
Watch this space. I don't need more ideas, trust me as well. Any encouragement and I'm there.
I can't wait to see it. But yeah, no, I think you just need to know your business thoroughly and your ideal clients and then lock in on those things.
I agree. Be consistent, know your message. Know your message, I think, is probably
Key
the
message.
thing that people need to spend a bit more time on. They haven't quite refined that.
Yes.
And then being authentic. It's so easy to pretend like you've got to be someone else. People buy you and there are already clients who work with you. So people enjoy you.
That's right.
So don't be anyone else.
Yeah.
Lastly, what's the vision for Bonnie? What's the vision for Beon Media? Tell us about that.
Vision for Bonnie would be lying on a beach, you know, in the Maldives, sipping on a pina colada.
That was yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Vision.
No, I think I would love just to continue to grow my business, and what that looks like is obviously I've brought on all the services that I want to lock in on. So it's really building on those services this year, but driving high impact into those services and doing so with some really creative messaging this year. Having brought on some more team members this year, it's given me enough time to allocate thinking space. When you're in marketing, if you have a background in marketing, I think you just mentioned, you really need to give yourself space to think big, you know. And now that I've got that, I'm excited to see what kind of fun stuff I get my clients in on this year. Good luck, guys. It's going to be fun. But yeah, there's a lot of storytelling campaigns coming along now, and yeah, just really building on having successful services across the board. You know, I don't really want any leaky buckets this year. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, look, Bonnie, it's been an absolute pleasure to getting to know you. Naturally, you've worked with Confio now for a little bit in our insurance business.
Yeah.
And I know from speaking to the team, it's been awesome working with you. And naturally meeting you, it's been fantastic. And no doubt the clients that work with you are going to get someone who's really going to work hard for them and be the best really for them to elevate their brand and get their message out there. So thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
If they want to reach out to you, how do they find you?
Beon Media. That's it. BEON Can I spell? I don't know.
Yep.
On Instagram. It's fine.
You find her on Instagram, stalk her like I did, and you'll get everything you need to know. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
Socius, thank you for joining us today. Please hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like to be part of the Socius community, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay in touch. Cheers.